also to determine the stoichiometry of a reaction, the number of electrons gained or accepted in a redox reaction, or titrations are used to determine solubility products. So before you begin a titration, there are three things that you need to know. You need to know the concentration of your standard solution, and you also need to know the initial volumes of your analyte and standard solutions. And after the titration, what you need to determine is the final volume in your burette. And the final volume will help you determine the volume delivered of the solution in the burette. Using that, you'll be able to determine the molarity or concentration of your analyte solution. The volume delivered when you are titrating, first thing you need to do before you begin titrating is to determine the initial volume of what you have in the burette. You need to take into account the meniscus, and as you can see here, we have 9.75 milliliters of sodium hydroxide. So after titrating, you're going to release a period of volume, and we'll just stop it here. And let's say our solution was finished, and we'd see our volume here would be about 14.90 milliliters. So to determine the volume delivered, you take the final 14.0 milliliters, subtract it from the initial, and you will get your volume delivered.
Okay, so to begin the titration, we read the initial volume at the bottom of the meniscus, and we see that it is 1.85. So after that, we're going to start swirling the solution and adding the NaOH into it until we see sort of a pinkish tint. So while we're doing this, I'll mention that we primed the burette by adding water 3 times and then NaOH 3 times just to make sure that the burette was clean. And so right now we're adding NaOH until we get sort of a pinkish tint as we're continuing to swirl. So now we're going to compare it to the water. As we can see, the solution has sort of a pinkish tint, and that means we have hit our endpoint.
First, we'll start making a little swirly. We'll put it up under here. Just put a tiny amount. Look for the pink endpoint. Wait a little bit. Okay. That is really close. That is a pink shade. So this is a perfect titration.
So first what we're going to do is determine the initial volume of the sodium hydroxide in the burette. And as you can see, first of all, we have to take into account the meniscus. And once you do that, we have an initial volume of 2.87 milliliters. So we're going to begin titrating. And to do that, I'm going to be swirling the analyte. I'm going to be swirling acid here and releasing. And when you start to see little spots of pink, you want to slow down because you're looking for it to just barely turn pink. I guess I'll do one. Alright, the solution has obtained a very light pink color, as you can see.